What's going on, Cigar Club family? Welcome to another Cigar Club podcast where we talk all things cigars. I'm David Pugh. Joining me, as always, is Griff Pugh. And today, we are going to be talking about a top 10. We're going to be reacting, rather, to a top 10 things every cigar smoker should know. We were going to put this together ourselves, but we found out that Cigar Aficionado already has a top 10. So we're actually going to react to their top 10. So this will be a good one. Griff and I haven't looked at this list yet. But before we get into it, Griff, I see some gold. I see limited edition. What are we smoking today?
We are smoking the Crown Heads 4 Kicks limited edition 2022 Mule Kick.
Mule Kick that's sent to us by our good friend Sam. He also sent us some of his favorite bourbons just because he's a nice guy. It's a little too early for me to drink some bourbon, just because it's a weekday. If it was a weekend, it'd be a different story. So I'm pairing this 4 Kicks with a iced latte this morning because it's already hot.
I've got hot coffee and some water. I have to say, I don't think I know I did not smoke. Nope, take that back. It's been 8 to 12 months since I've smoked a 4 Kicks, and I've never smoked, clearly, the Mule Kick.
They have a couple different, and I actually get confused. They have, like, the regular red, they have the blue, I think.
Kappa Special.
The Kappa, and then they have the yearly limited edition. This year is the first time that they are using a Mexican San Andreas wrapper on a 4 Kicks. So it's going to be the same binder and filler, but just with a Mexican San Andreas wrapper over it. Previously, they've done Connecticut Habano, Ecuadorian Sumatra, Nicaraguan, and now this beautiful Mexican San Andreas. I have to admit, the 4 Kicks line is probably my least favorite out of anything Crown Heads.
I'm with you on that.
For whatever reason, anytime that I've smoked this cigar or these blends, it just doesn't hit my palate, which is a rarity because I love
Me too.
It's very hard for me not to like a cigar. It's got to be, and it's not that I don't like it. It's not a bad cigar by any means. It's just not one that I ever gravitate to or just doesn't resonate with my palate. So I'm hoping the Mexican San Andreas will kind of turn the blend on its head for me because I'm a huge fan of Mexican San Andreas.
Nothing like a little San Andreas in the morning.
Yeah, this is going to... I have a funny feeling this is going to mule kick me in the back of the head, and I'm going to be dizzy
I'm
for
wondering
the rest of the
why
day.
the name is Mule Kick. I'm sure it's somewhere out there that did not look at it prior, but maybe that is something we will find out.
Maybe.
I will have to say, this is...
I should have researched that first, because I remember there's a story.
We're just spitting facts here. This is by no means... The secondary band on this thing is horrible. Not horrible looking, horribly placed. Overlapping, sloppy, and the wrapper is not the cleanest wrapper I've ever seen in the world. But
I will defend. I normally notice Mexican San Andreas wrappers are
a little rougher.
They're toothier, they're rougher,
Yeah.
they're rougher. They look... This is a stupid question. This is a stupid way to phrase it, and it drives me nuts whenever people say it. But they look dry because it's very thick, and so that gives it that appearance of being dry, in my opinion. So I will defend that part of it. But I've never been a fan of the secondary Crown Head bands that they started 2 years ago, maybe, or 3 years ago. I don't know. I think it just takes away where it just says Crown Heads, and I think they're on every Crown Head cigar now.
Yeah.
But so far, this is really good, and I purposely did go with a little vanilla syrup in my iced latte to hopefully not even out the ass kickery that I expect with this cigar. Because for the first time the other day, I won't name the cigar, but I got a Nicotine Buzz. I had to grab a pack of Sour Patch Kids and
was it
walk
yesterday?
around for a little bit because I was about to. I think it was Monday, or Tuesday. No, it was Monday or Tuesday. I can't.
Yeah,
different time. Yeah, different than the one yesterday. Yeah. It kicked my ass, and I can't tell you the last time that I had to eat some sugar, and I don't know. It was wild.
Yeah, it's funny sometimes how even cigars that you've smoked 5 or 10 of, sometimes they just hit different. To me.
Yeah. empty stomach.
I usually
or
always
maybe,
have something
what
on
you're-
my stomach. Like, I don't ever eat breakfast, but I knew
never
we were
do,
doing
and
this.
so I'm
and I just
surprised it
ate-
doesn't happen.
I ate some type of like Nature Valley bar thing. But yeah, let's see if it'll mule kick us in the nuts.
Yeah. Can I? I'll just. Damn. Sorry, had to eat today. Eat them. Want to do it? A chicken biscuit with this? Let's go.
Chicken biscuits are always solid, especially from Chick-fil-A.
Well, let's crack into this.
All right.
I'm really curious to see. I have a fun time roasting Cigar Aficionado. I think they do wonderful things, but it's always fun to me for their lists. I don't know why. I just have a good time roasting them. So we haven't looked at these yet, and so I'm going to start us off from the top. Once again, this is 10 things every cigar smoker should know from Cigar Aficionado.
I'm going to know nothing because I'm just an idiot. So this will be interesting.
Well, all right. So they've got them in bulleted points and then a nice little article with each. I'm not going to go through the full article, but their number one, I don't know if these are in particular order, is cigars are a natural and artisanal product. Oh, this is already great.
Oh, God.
Oh,
wait, are we
boy,
sure?
This is I mean, are our machine rolled ones technically artisanal? So
well, someone
maybe
made
there's
someone
a
made the
little truth to
machines.
that.
Someone made the machines. I find them fascinating.
That's a really interesting
Yeah.
thing to include in there. Let me see. I'm going to just briefly, like, are they just saying, like, I could see it if they were like, hey, not every product's going to be perfect, so keep in mind that. So if that's in the little paragraph or two that they have, I would understand that. But it doesn't.
Natural and
It's literally
artisanal.
And handmade, yeah.
There you have it.
Like, I wish, yeah. If I'm writing that article, I think I express the, hey, sometimes you're going to have cigars that are
Yeah.
imperfect or a slight blemish here or there. Maybe go into like, and maybe they do down the line, but maybe talk about green spots or brown spots from fermentation where, water gets on it,
Yeah.
so it'll discolor the wrapper. A lot of people, especially new cigar smokers, may think that that's mold. It is not. It's just a blemish of the wrapper, perfectly smokable. Maybe talk about, band placement. Sometimes you can have a ripped wrapper from glue or something like that. You were talking about the footband on this one.
No, not the foot band. Sorry,
I would have liked
the
to seen that.
secondary, the limited edition band.
Because there's way too many cigars that I get where you take, and this is part of the reason why I wait to take my bands off until I get there.
Yeah,
Is because I've had plenty of cigars that were over glued,
and it rips.
and it'll rip the wrapper right
Yep.
off. And
I
so
hate that.
if I were to do that in the beginning, it could affect the drawl. It could affect the burn of the cigar. So that's part of the reason why I would have loved that been in there.
There you have it. Number one. Very exciting start to this article.
I can see you're jazzed up about
Very.
that one. That
This
one
is all news to me.
You would have really enjoyed. Going down to number two. All right. I like this one. Number two is 200 pairs of hands. We've talked about that before. I think I've gone from 200 to 500 to
Yeah.
4,000.
Yeah.
There is a lot that goes on from the blender to the person growing the tobacco. I should have started there, but to the person putting your bands on, putting it in the cellophane, putting it in the box, transporting it. There is a lot of steps involved from conception to seed
Yeah.
to smoking it. And when you think about it that way, you really appreciate it.
It's something I forget a lot of the time unless we're specifically talking about it like we are now. I mean, we've talked about it several times, I guess, but 200 sets of hands. Sets or hands?
200 pairs
Okay.
of hands.
It's a lot of hands.
Still a lot.
It's a lot of hands. The whole process is just it's exciting and something that we should all familiarize ourselves with and remember more when we smoke cigars.
I agree. And being fortunate enough to have been in a factory, I've never been to an actual tobacco farm to see that side of the process. But just the sheer amount of people from even just like sorting the tobacco leaves and going through wrappers to make sure that, the shade of the wrapper is the same color as the cigar goes in your box. Because, if you have 100 cigars that are all Ecuadorian Connecticut wrappers, there's still going to be shade variance between cigar to cigar. So as they box those, they're actively looking to make sure that the shade is going to be consistent across the box that you're going to receive. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous that there's so much that goes on that you just don't realize. Like, I would have never have thought that someone is making sure that the same cigar, same blend, they're sorting it by color. You know, just a little bit of different shade.
I just can't imagine some of the more tedious of putting bands on or putting individual cigars in cellophane. Like, that is wild.
There is nothing that I hate more than taking a cigar out for a photo.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to smoke it that day, or maybe I want to do like a 5-pack photo or something like that. And having to individually take the dang cigars out of the cellophane and then put them back in. I don't know how.
Oh, that's
these people are
impossible. It's a one and done.
Dude, it's ridiculous how fast these people can put cigars in cellophane, and meanwhile, it takes me 30 minutes to get 2 in there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, 200 sets of hands.
Right, so I like
impressive.
that one.
You know, there's not many other products, consumable products even, that are close to that off the top of my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, especially now in the days of machine processed
Everything.
stuff, a lot of things are just done automatically, and a person is making sure things are running smoothly, but they're not actually hands-on.
I want to think about that, though, because really I don't know if there is any other product. I'm sure there is, but consumable, not consumable, that is such a process, such a timeline, months, years, and a shitload of hands.
Yeah, because I was immediately thinking of like fruits and vegetables, but those aren't aging, so they're not in for the most part, they're not in a facility where someone's got to rotate them so that the evaporation and the fermentation process, it goes evenly. It's ridiculous to think about. I'd love to see
produce. I'm sure
like
is
one of the farms
is up
or
there, but I wouldn't think it'd pass 100 hands. But I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
How's she smoking for you so far?
Touching up a couple of times. Not getting anything too crazy right now. So far,
I've enjoyed it more than the other ones. I'm getting
I can't compare because it's been too long.
I'm getting a little tar at the top, so I'm probably gonna have to recut this. And actually, I'm gonna do that now before it turns rancid. So if you're not sure what I mean,
I don't know what you mean actually.
A lot of times, if you have a cigar, and you're not gonna be able to see it, but on the tip of the cigar, I basically just have, and I think it's from under fermentation, but I could be wrong. It could be not related to fermentation at all. It just could be like drawl. But essentially, there's just little oils. I think that's actually tar, but that'll come out the top. And so if you're ever smoking a cigar and it's great, and then it turns rancid, chances are there's a little bit of tar. Like if I touch the top of this, I can rub off some oil on my finger there. So I'll just go through and just cut it from the top.
I've got a small piece that's black.
Touch it. Is it like oily?
I couldn't tell you one way or the other.
Oh, we got a behind the scenes article pulled up.
Yeah, this scared me. I'm not used. What's happening?
Yeah. The stuff oozing out of your cigar, according to this article, is a natural substance, presumably some excess sap from the stem or leaf of the tobacco, which failed to evaporate during the fermentation process. So it's mostly tobacco juice, tar, and resin. Well, I mean,
damn
I'll
close.
give myself credit. That was mostly correct. Yeah. So it's not a good thing, but it's not the end of the world. Now that I clipped it, boom, good to go. And I noticed this happens a lot, and maybe it's partially related, but on any type of tapered cigar, this one had a soft, this almost reminded me of like a 109 cap from the Wayfarer. Very soft, rounded taper to it. Anytime I have a rounded taper, I tend to have that type of tar issue. But cut it open and it'll be good to go again.
There you have it.
All right. Well, I think we'll move on to number 3 because it is a perfect segue. Number 3 is tobacco undergoes fermentation.
There it is.
Well, couldn't have timed that any better. Just looking through this one, because this one needs a little bit more context. It does say tobacco undergoes fermentation for one simple reason. It makes the tobacco taste better. The process affects the flavor and smell of tobacco, making it less astringent and reducing bitterness while bringing out its more floral, nutty, and sweeter aspects. I like this. I think I see where they're going. Initially, when I read the title of this article, I was thinking of like how to cut a cigar, how to smoke a cigar etiquette. But this is more of
deeper dive,
appreciation for what's in your hand and how it got to your hand.
Cigar Aficionado.
Good on them, because I think that's something that most people, when they first start smoking cigars, they don't ever find out about. They just find out how to cut it and light it and smoke it, and then usually you find out from like a local cigar store, and then they're like, yeah, come back and buy more cigars. They don't teach you, or you're not learned from them.
I will say, off topic, but on topic, it's not as squishy as I was expecting it to be. I mean, there's a little bit of give, but...
There's a little bit of give. But I think... Yeah. I don't have any dead spots, which...
is nice. Yeah.
I'm happy for.
Yeah.
I will say, I smoked the last 2 Four Kicks limited editions, and I think I smoked half of them, and I put them down because they weren't anything. I'll actually smoke this whole cigar.
Last
this is really good.
I had was the Kappa, the blue label, and that was a while ago. So I need to bring them back.
There's a little kind of whenever I have Mexican San Andreas, I always get like a campfire beef jerky type of element to it, which I do here. But there's also some nice sweet undertones that I normally don't pick up in the Four Kicks that helps round out some of that in your face.
It also could be the time of the
punch.
day. A cigar like this, I prefer late afternoon or the evening. Although,
I agree.
I don't know. Sometimes
this is different. I'm surprised. I mean, you smoke. I could see you chiefing back.
Maybe I take that statement back.
La Familia at 9 o'clock in the morning.
That statement back. I will do the La Familia anytime, but I don't know. Maybe it's just this morning. I don't know. I'm an idiot.
I was putting together a nice little sampler pack for a friend's brother who smokes cigars, and I'm just loading them up, and I'm deep diving in the back of the humidor, and I found 2 La Familias. And
oh my God!
I thought I had smoked them all, and I think I just want those bad boys to sit. Could you imagine those with a few more age? That cello is going to just melt with the amount of oil those things are putting off.
I think I had it at the office, right? Yeah, about 4 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Phenomenal cigar. Speaking of fermentation,
so good. We gotta talk to. Yeah, that's a great one. That cigar fresh.
Oh man,
I don't think you could actually smoke it. That'd be too strong for you.
It probably would. Triple
E Haro, Danny aged those for what? A year. Are you sure you didn't read this?
No,
beforehand.
I didn't even get the link.
Well, it was producer Ramsey sent it to us, but it's okay.
Oh, I didn't read it.
Coming in at number 4.
I don't do a whole lot of prep for these,
It's okay. Coming in at number 4, aging is important. Holy hell!
I also now see where they're going. They're through the whole process too, which is kind
of seed to probably in your hand smoking it, but
mouth.
Yeah, now that sounds interesting. Aging
seed to mouth, folks. Seed to mouth.
Is that the new tag? That's going to be a new tagline for some cigar company. They go on to say aging tobacco plays a vital role both before and after the cigar is made. Not only is fresh leaf aged before it's rolled into a cigar, but a newly completed cigar in most cases is sent to an aging room where the tobaccos marry and humidity levels of the cigar can stabilize. So to the point that we were just making with La Familia, Danny aged those cigars. I don't know how long the tobacco was aged prior, but after he rolled those cigars...
Fermented.
Thank you. Those cigars...
What did we learn on number 3?
Sat for a year before he was even comfortable giving those to us. So you can have cigars... You can have tobacco that's fermented and then aged for 5 years, and then the cigars will be rolled and sat for an excess period of time as well.
I'd love to do like 2 back-to-backs. One that was... fermented for a short period of time and aged for a very long time, just maybe a year or 2. And then one that was fermented for a very long time and aged just for a couple of months.
Yeah, for sure.
Like same blend. That would be kind of cool.
Because
I don't know what the average fermentation process is. Surely it's not more than 6 months.
Yeah, let's see if they say.
I mean, I would think 3 to 6 months, 3 to 8 months, 4 to 8 months on both processes is probably average.
Yeah. And, I mean, there's been cigars that we've gotten and we've smoked, and the first thing that we say is, this cigar is too young, meaning the cigar was rolled and it needed it to sit longer.
Yeah.
And sometimes, manufacturers, they don't have a choice because they may have delays that cause them not to be able to start rolling those, and then they have a official launch date already, and they have to get it out, and they may not necessarily want to. Maybe they don't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just speaking out of my ass here, but I imagine with any business, some people will say, "Hey, the deadline's here, and you got to rush out a project because they told you the deadline's there."
On the flip side, though, maybe I dreamed this? Maybe I dreamed of you. Wasn't there a cigar in the past week that week or 2 weeks that you smoked and it was just overaged? It just wasn't good anymore. Was that you? I swore you'd smoked something it was good a year ago, but now it's just.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think of what I've smoked recently.
Someone told me that. I cannot remember.
But
I wonder if that's actually true, though, because I think it is.
Yeah, for sure. To me,
some don't age well. Better than
you know
others,
what? This
right?
may have been it. The Liga Privados 9 and 52s.
Maybe that was it.
Those cigars do not age well for whatever reason. I find those are best fresh. I've had some that have sat in my humidor for over a year, and they just lose their punchiness. They lose their sweetness, their natural sweetness, and they go from being a great experience to just kind of mellow and muted. And I mean, there's a lot of cigars that I have that are 2, 3, 4 years old that have just been fallen to the bottom of the humidor that probably are similar to that. So
yeah,
smoke them. That's the point.
What do they always say? Smoke them if you got them. I've never really liked that saying.
No, but I'm trying to get better at that because there are cigars that I put off.
I don't necessarily hoard any cigars. I mean, I definitely don't hoard any cigars that you can get, obviously, anywhere readily available. But some of the Familias and the limited editions and exclusives, I maybe tend to hoard a little bit.
For me, it's more of all the customs. I'll always keep one of them just for
sure.
Never for smoking, but more of looking back, maybe taking a cool photo in a few years where you've got 24 of the last 6 years of customs or 4 years of customs. But some of the rare Davidoffs, I have a Davidoff Royal original release, test blend, which would be super fun to smoke, but it's priceless, right?
Probably trash, but yeah.
Very good chance. It could be. Yep, I think you're dead on with where they're going with this one. Next, coming in at number 5, Understanding
Is there 10
Cigar.
total?
There are 10 total. This is their top 10, which we are now on number 5, halfway through. Understanding Cigar Anatomy. They go on to say they've got a really nice infograph or info photo where a cigar is slightly unrolled so that you can see the wrapper, the binder, and the filler of the cigar. That's actually a really, really good photo. If you're want to look it up, it's the Cigar Aficionado. Just search top things every cigar smoker should know. But you've got the wrapper, which is the outside visible cover of the cigar. This is usually the most expensive component of a cigar because the wrapper leaf it's got to be just right. It's got to be beautiful, not too many veins, can't have too many, obviously, stems or rough texture in it. And so they spend a absorbent amount of time sorting through wrapper leaves. Then you've got the binder, which is going to be on the outside of the innermost part of the cigar, which usually makes up the most part of the cigar, and that's the filler. And that's going to be where the differences between a Lancero and a Toro or a big old 6x60, the ratio of binder, wrapper, and filler is going to be what changes across Vitolas. And we just did a kind of a podcast on that hasn't come out yet, but you may have seen photos on it where we had a bunch of different cigars in our mouths.
Fun fact for you. Oh yeah, we did. I forgot that hasn't.
That one
published.
hasn't. Yeah, I don't know. That may have come out just before this. It may come out just after this, depending on the timing of this one. But that is the components of the cigar.
Have you ever made your own? I'm not even sure how you phrase this question. Have you ever made your own edible cigar with food?
No.
You're probably very, very confused where I'm going with this.
Like sushi?
Well, I mean, that could work, but I was thinking my first job in high school or hell, middle school. I don't even remember. Was at a barbecue shop in Maryland, and we just ate all day, right? Because it was free food. We never really took a lunch break. You're ringing people up. You're making sandwiches. You're slinging meat.
Yeah.
And so we get real crazy and sometimes bored, and so that prompted the craziness of these meat food concoctions. But I was just thinking, like, making my own edible cigar. One day we got 2 or 3 perfectly fried French fries, which I'll call the filler.
Okay.
We wrapped those in a piece of Swiss cheese, and then we wrapped that whole then we wrapped that whole thing in a rare piece of roast beef. Oh my God, it was so good.
All right, so first
and
off,
I'm just thinking, there it is. There's my edible cigar.
Before I agree with your statement, it sounds like you may have been making some other type of edibles before you made that.
Hot sauce was in there too, but
yes, I have done.
So
if I'll take like lunch meat and wrap it around like a pickle with cheese and some mustard in the middle. I think that's the best part about working at a restaurant is just coming up with crazy off the menu concoctions that combining part of this to part of this.
I just thought
coming up with a magic gem
experience.
That take you back?
It did. We did a lot of stuff that was not on the menu. Let's just say
it's fun. It's a fun way to do things. Yeah, we
made some coleslaw in there, wrap it in some turkey, wrap
dude,
that
now
in
I want some
beef.
barbecue. Quit.
I know. I had some last night. There was a barbecue food truck in the neighborhood.
Oh, that's fun.
Last night.
We've had that once before. I wish we had more food trucks come in. I love food trucks.
We
They're
have
just fun.
Probably 5 every month over the course of a month.
Really? That's cool.
They just park up in the pool parking lot and just
that's where I was parked before. We had slowly we've had in Opelika Friday night food trucks, and it started out with like 4 or 5, and I think the last Friday that they did it, they had like 30 food trucks. It was wild. Amazing. And they were all jam-packed, like 15-minute waits to be able to get anything from there. So I love seeing that. I think it's a really cool thing to – and a lot of people have, like, really damn good food. Like, you think food truck, it's going to be street food, but it's not.
Yeah. There's a place downtown Greenville. I'm trying to blank on the name. We were there the other night before the baseball game, and it's basically like this compound of shipping containers that are converted to basically food trucks, but not really. Yeah. They're basically just shipping containers that are converted into bar taps or kitchens, and same vibe of food truck food, but amazing stuff. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll eat some barbecue this weekend. Got some brisket and ribs. I'm excited. All right, here we go. This is what I more expected to be. Coming in at number 6, it's Cut and Like. Ooh, we're gonna start that one. Coming in at number 6, Cut and Light Like a Pro. So in this article, they go on. Or in this section, they talk about lighting. They link to a video on how to cut a cigar, the different types of tapers on how to cut those, lighting going into toasting, and linking a video on that one. So that's more what I expected this article to be. But so far, I like what they've done with it in the direction.
I was watching a video the other day on cutting and lighting. It was just something that came across the homepage of like recommended videos. It was of the Sahakians. Do you know Eddie and...
No.
Eddie and Steven? Sahakian, they basically own the Davidoff Lounge in London.
Oh. Wow.
Super, like, elegant. They're always in super nice suits. And
I bet if I saw a picture of them, I would know what you're talking about.
I'll send you the link after this. I mean, it's a really, really cool video. I could listen to these guys all freaking day. And he goes through the lighting and the cutting process. And it's so unique. He's doing, like, hand gestures. And he's, like, super, super old school. Cigar smoker. Really, really interesting.
I bet he could tell a cool ass story to people that he's probably met or has met. I would be like, can you please cut and light my cigar and tell me a story as you do this?
And he would say it would be my pleasure. Like he's just
that's awesome.
This guy I could listen to for hours. I'll try to find it. I'll send it to you.
Here's our next video line. We'll work this in the budget. We're gonna Griff and I. And Ramsey, because he's got to be our producer. He sets it all up gorgeously. We'll travel to every Davidoff lounge across the world.
That would be cool. I would just love
that. Would be.
We've talked about it before. I'd love to go to their lounge in London. That would be amazing. Although I would feel so out of place because
Oh
I'd
God,
have
yeah.
to get all dressed up and
I don't know if we've talked about
like
this
I know
before.
what
Have
I'm
you been
talking
to
about.
London?
yeah.
Have we talked about how like one of my top 10 bucket list items is to have a custom pair of shoes made by a cobbler in London?
No,
I would love. There's something I don't
we
know.
have
There's
not.
something so classy about a cobbler measuring your shoes and making a custom shoe for you, and then obviously I'm going to get a custom tailored suit.
Oh
That-
yeah, you have to.
That to me, those two things are.
But the problem is that my weight just fluctuates so much.
Tell
Right?
me
I'm
about it.
super
I'm getting-
super high right now. It's hard to justify that until I like even out for the course of a couple of years, right?
You're preaching to the choir over here.
Yeah.
I haven't been a consistent size in all my life. I don't know
Yeah.
how people, to your point, are like, yeah, I don't ever change weight at all
Yeah.
or sizes. I'm getting it fitted for a suit in September or for a wedding in September, and I'm like, they're like, yeah, you get a free resizing. I was like, I hope so, because I don't know
Yeah,
what that's
I'm
going
gonna
to
need
look
it.
like after the
Right.
summer of
That's
crushing
nice.
beers.
It's nice that they do that.
Yeah, but
So
to the
speaking
point-
of
back to the
lighting and
point.
cutting, are you? I'm pretty sure I know your answer. I cut and light the exact same way every single cigar. I don't change from V cut to straight to punch. It's always the same.
I've never mastered a punch, and I never liked the draw that I got from a punch. For a long time, I was using my Colbury V cut
Yeah.
because I like, and I was using a guillotine that was similar. I like when they have a stopping point so you can't overcut a
Right.
cigar.
The
But
perfect
now,
cut.
just recently, I've gotten really comfortable. My blade dulled on both of those, and so I've just been using
yeah.
the Zycar
I
guillotine.
use, I use the same one, the XI or whatever. it
Yeah.
is.
I
It's
like
seen
this.
better
What I
days,
don't
but-
like about this is when you have the cigar in there, it is very awkward, for me at least, to get a clean snap down. So I think I
gotta
want
be
to get a
quick.
pair of,
quick and hard.
I guess, I want to get a pair. I want to get a pair of cigar scissors. I've never used them before,
I haven't either.
but I think I would like the motion of a scissor cut more than the press down for some reason. I don't. It's a weird thing with these. I think this is probably it. Is I feel like I smush the cigar a little bit as I cut through it because I'm not pushing down hard and fast enough.
That's what she said. I've never had a problem with these. Also, these blades are always super freaking sharp, and I'm curious though if it gets
They
dull.
are.
I'm sure they'll sharpen them. I'm sure there's some type of warranty on these.
I
bad boys.
imagine. I've never looked into it because that's been
This
one.
is
I was
like-
like, oh, you know,
This is my fidget spinner or whatever. You know, I just sometimes I'm in my
spinning your-
office and I'm just opening and closing. It's just
that's dangerous.
it's exciting. And I'll put my finger in it and spin it around my finger. And
You're ballsy, my friend.
you got to make it.
I mean, you cut
lively.
yourself last podcast, so why not?
I did. That little thing hurt.
I bet. All right, let's go in. Let's crack into number 7. Smoke cool and slow. And if I'm not reading that article or that paragraph, you got to look cool is what I hear. You got to look cool while you smoke your cigar and smoke
Interesting.
slowly. But that is a really good call out because I have a gentleman at my local cigar lounge who just smokes it like a dang cigarette. He'll smoke a
Chiefs it.
6x60
Chiefs
in
it.
like 10 minutes.
Yeah. I've seen
And
some
I'm,
guys do that.
I'm dying. So they go on to talk about the hyper frequent puffing will inevitably overheat your cigar and cause it to become bitter. And that is spot on. There are cigars if I've been drinking, I will
Yeah.
over puff a cigar unintentionally, like without necessarily thinking about it, and it'll quickly turn on you. And there's really
and it just
no
makes
recovering.
you feel like shit. It screws the cigar and it screws yourself, right? But on the flip side, we were smoking Bygone in this last podcast. We were both smoking it very quickly, quicker than probably I'm smoking
Yeah.
now or any cigar. Didn't get bitter, didn't get squishy, didn't make me feel like crap.
No,
So I am a firm believer that if you do smoke, and that's kind of like my gauge too. Like my ring is my sodium gauge, right? I pull it off and put it on every single day and like testing where I
day, dude.
am. This is also like that. It's like, okay, if it's still semi-firm, I'm probably on a good track. But if it's super squishy, I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, let me slow down, let it
Yep.
cool down a little bit, and take a 2 or 3 minute break.
and I'm glad they go on to further talk about. However, if you smoke too slowly, a lot of times you can lose your ember, lose your cherry, and then the cigar is going to go out. So you have to find that middle ground of smoking too fast, smoking too slowly, and I'm going to scan through it. I think I've heard like one puff every 30, 45 seconds, something like that.
I'm liking this
wanna know
right
if
here.
they say-
Right here, I like this.
Yeah? What are you getting?
It's like super
What
meaty.
changed?
Just I don't know, but
Yeah.
less campfire. Almost like some type of chocolate note.
There it is. In the article, they call it out.
Probably dead center. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And I do agree. I'm getting, it could be the sweetness of the drink, but
Yeah.
I am getting a little bit more sweet than I did. But they go to say puffing every 30 seconds to a minute should be an appropriate interval. And that's what I always heard when I first started smoking. But they do, this may be hotly debated, leave the ash on for as long as you can. The ash serves as a temperature regulator and minimizes contact between the air and the lit tobacco, thus keeping it cooler. Great cigars are made of whole leaves, not chopped up tobacco. Those leaves have structure and will hold an ash of a size that's surprising to a novice. That's really cool because I think we've
talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it was maybe even Ramsey that brought up a point. We were talking about this in Cincinnati. He's like, yeah, I've heard that leaving a ash on too long can cause you to taste that ash as you smoke through it because you're pulling the air through that ash to be able to get to the cherry and then thus in your mouth. So I'm glad they put that on there because a lot of people, friends that just start smoking, they'll just quickly, 2 puffs and tap the ash.
My gauge is like, when's it going to fall on me? When I notice that, it's time to dump it.
There's been cigars that I'm like, I'd love to leave this ash on, but I do not feel like having another burnt piece of clothing.
Yeah. It's
a rite of passage, though.
I'd probably let it get to maybe a half inch and then drop it. But right now, I probably could also, and I wouldn't. So
yeah, I enjoy holding my ash on as long as I can. It's just aesthetically pleasing.
I know, but then you're also
8,
like very carefully like.
Oh yeah,
you
I'm
know.
like.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not enjoyable after that.
Doing it like the dang longest ash competition people. Coming in at number 8. I don't like the title of this one. Choose your cigar wisely.
Okay.
All right. It's important to know something about the blend before choosing a cigar. This helps to ensure you don't choose a smoke that's either too strong or too mild. I guess this isn't 10 things every new cigar smoker should know. Yeah.
I mean, so when I go to Cameroon's, first thing Ernie always says to me is, "What are you feeling today?" Right?
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
either I walk in there at noon, right when they open, or later in the day, and I told you I always ask, or I always reply with, "What's new? What have I not smoked?" But to that other point is, some days I want to start with a straight, full-bodied cigar, like start with a Jacob's Ladder or something.
God.
That's most of the time
All right.
is more full bodied than not. But there's some days I want to start with like a Habano or something. But I very much agree with that.
Yeah.
To the other point, though, it's you can't judge a book by its cover. And I'm just went to like Magic Toast, for instance.
I was
and
just
really,
about to say Magic
even
Toast.
this. I mean, there's not much strength here for me.
There's really not, which is surprising because the other ones I haven't liked because I thought they were too full-bodied for me.
I think those days for me are well gone of just seeing a dark cigar, like associating that's going to knock me on my ass or give me this massive nicotine rush, and it's just simply not the case.
Yeah, Magic Toast is, I think, absolutely the best example of don't judge this cigar by its cover because that cigar is... I usually say the Sereno Expat is like the best dessert cigar.
I
Magic Toast gives it... Magic Toast gives it a run for its money.
I gotta get. I've got 2 in there. Maybe I'll try it today, but also it's with time, right? Building your tolerance. It's like getting into higher proof bourbons.
Yeah, that's a good example. That's a good analogy.
Magic Toast. Maybe when I first started smoking cigars, maybe would have. I don't know.
And I think that's where your tobacconist or someone who has smoked cigars can lend themselves to make those types of recommendations.
Yeah.
If either you're a new smoker or those aren't usually up your alley, that's where someone can go, hey, this cigar, trust me, it's really good. And I know we've all done that before with Magic Toast.
Yeah, this is a dark cigar. But I mean, even like Algo Sincero or Customs from Rodriguez, it's got the Desflorada wrapper. It's super buttery, creamy.
Love that wrapper.
It's got some strength to it. So, and the first time I smoked it, I felt it 100%. Like that second half.
Really?
Yep. Started creamy and then got into
I gotta
spice,
smoke that
and
again.
it's a phenomenal cigar. But I very well remember when I smoked it in Pensacola with my neighbor. I'm like, holy shit, this thing is deceiving.
I think that'll be my. I think I'm going to smoke that later today or tomorrow, depending on the weather. Because you keep teasing me with
You should,
the
man.
amount of algos you've been smoking recently.
it's so good, really, really good.
So this just completely went from, first off, recutting it. The draw is much better, and I've got no tar issues. So great call in noticing that early. But this went from meaty and sweet to the strength is starting to ramp up a little bit. I'm just past the halfway mark. And it is what I normally, it's just like meaty smoke camp-fired beef jerky.
Yeah.
And there is no sweetness anymore to it.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
No.
I would smoke it again for sure so far. Box worthy, another question.
Yeah. Now, this one, number 9, you're going to get real upset about. I know you feel strongly about this
Oh, God.
topic. Cubans aren't always the best.
Oh, thank you, God.
It's a great. This is probably my favorite of the 9 that we've read so far because I hear it constantly. I only smoke Cubans.
Yeah.
Why? Like, they hold a place, but to say that you won't smoke anything else, to me, and I will preface this by saying, to each their own. I'm not going to poo-poo on someone if that's truly what they like. However,
I
when
will.
I hear someone say that, I immediately think that they are only saying that as a status symbol and a flex.
It's like in the bourbon world. If you're like sitting on an airplane and talking about whatever, you start getting into bourbon. Like, yeah, I have a nice little collection or whatever. Do you got any Pappy? It's like, buddy, there are 8,000 other bourbons other than no. I don't have Pappy, and I have no desire for Pappy. But it's also like if you're sitting on the airplane and you start talking about what you do. It's like, oh, do y'all ship Cubans? Like, no, we don't.
All the time.
Can you?
All
Do you
the
think
time.
we ship Cubans?
Nope, that's not allowed. Now, I will throw you under the bus here. You do this with high-proof bourbons.
What do you mean?
I only drink high-proof bourbon.
Okay, where are you going with this? Do I not?
No, you do, but I think they're also good under
I would
80,
agree.
90 proof bourbons.
There are 1,000 great lower proof bourbons. It just doesn't. I don't like drinking. I'd rather just drink water, right?
Well, and the point I don't
Let me
actually
just
give
let
a
me
shit.
just put some
but
brown
the-
food coloring in my glass of water right now, and basically I'm drinking what you love, right?
Is that a whiskey blind? Griff drinks brown colored
Yeah,
water versus high proof
exactly.
bourbon. See if he tells the difference.
But
No,
it's the
point
same.
being
It's
is,
the same
if that's what you
progression
like-
with cigars for me. Is
Yeah.
holy shit! I'm not going to drink something over 110, right? I want to be into the 93s, 90, and
yeah,
now I've
build a tolerance
started
for
going
it.
up the ladder. It's like, nah, there's no reason to go back now.
do you know what your first high proof
No,
over 110 bourbon
could
was?
not. It's somewhere up there because I have yet to go through a full bottle of anything. Actually, it might be like Old Granddad 114, maybe.
Yeah,
that
I can
might
see
have
that.
been the first. I have to actually scroll back because I started taking pictures when I first started collecting bourbon, and I had just a couple of bottles. I bet I have a picture of the newer editions of whatever I was buying at the time. I think it might have been 114 though,
Yeah,
which is still great.
I
Still
think
have the
mine
bottle.
was probably. Damn,
Yeah.
son.
But I'm
I
at a
think mine
point.
was
I'm like,
probably
there's too
Booker's.
much. I don't just
Yeah.
still hone into one bottle. There's some bottles in there that are getting very, very close to killing, but there's too many options.
I get really throwing wrappers on the ground. I get really excited when I'm finishing towards the end of a bottle because I have the same thing. Like, I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of different bourbons, and I always just bounce around between them, which is why bourbon to me, if I see a price tag, an MSRP of a bourbon, it's like $100. I'm like, yeah, but that's going to last me 4 or 5 years, unless it's just so good I can't drink anything but that.
That was the
It's a worthwhile investment because of how long it lasts.
that was the best statement I told my wife because we're big wine drinkers as well. We got tons of wine, and she was associating it with once you open it, you've got basically 3 or 4 days, 4 or 5 days, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
There's stuff up there that I've had for, a year and a half. So
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah,
an
Booker's-
investment.
Booker's was
in the grand scheme
mine.
of things.
And it took a while. Like, whenever I pour high proof bourbons for people that don't drink bourbons, and even now, like, I don't drink as much bourbon as I used to. You have to build a tolerance for it. Like, if I go drink Obtainium right now, I'm gonna feel the heat.
Oh, sure.
Or if I go
Obtainium is
drink
just
a
an outlier,
130
though.
proof, I'm gonna feel
Yeah.
it. That's true. But
But
if you work your way up and then continually drink high proof bourbon, that proof isn't as felt as it is for people who normally don't.
But I also don't drink. I mean, I still drink bourbon in the summer, but I don't drink as much in the wintertime. Forget about it. Cold
No.
outside, fire. Like,
Yeah.
it's any time. Not any time. I'm not an alcoholic, but it's the time of season, right? I'm like, I'm not going to sit out in the summer and
Yeah.
sweat my nuts off and drink 130
No.
proof bourbon and have my insides just boiling.
You don't drink cocktails.
No.
At least
I don't drink bourbon.
that I
cocktails.
notice.
Tequila cocktail, sure. Vodka every once in a while.
Yeah.
Tequila cocktails I love them.
Yeah. The ones that we had in Cincinnati
Yeah.
were stupid good.
Yeah.
So summer tends to be bourbon cocktails for me because I can mix it with ice and it'll beat the heat. I made a drink last night. Bailey's like, "Hey, make me a cocktail." She didn't have to go until late today. She wanted a cocktail with dinner, and this was one of those moments that I was like, "Damn, I'm not an idiot, and I actually do have a little bit there." She wanted a bourbon cocktail. I grabbed the Few Spirits cold cut bourbon.
Oh, it's so good. Oh my God, it's so good.
It is stupid good. And
I've
I
never
built
mixed it
the
with
drink
anything.
in my head. I built the drink in my head without ever trying it before. I grabbed that. I grabbed fig liqueur and Aztec chocolate bitters. And a big old ice cube, 1 part fig liqueur, 2 parts bourbon, and then a dash of bitters, and we topped it with a cherry. And I had constructed the drink in my head by the flavors that I knew each component had, and it turned out stupid good. And so it was one of those like, damn, I don't just bullshit this from the get-go.
I will say the first, which is weird to say, the first cocktail we've made in this house, and I texted you a picture I think the other night, at my brother-in-law's rehearsal dinner. The rehearsal dinner was at this super nice cocktail bar, and we were drinking something called like a basil crush or something, and it's with their house, not their house. They make their own. They distill their own bourbon. It's a pepper, black pepper bourbon, which I would suppose is strictly for making
sounding.
cocktails. But it's basically like a spicy margarita, but spicy or black pepper bourbon, muddled basil, like a ounce or half ounce of lime and simple syrup, and it's literally like a spicy margarita, which I love, but a bourbon drink.
But bourbon.
And it is so freaking good. But I also will say,
I got to find some.
we had a steak night here the other night with some guys, and I have not done this probably in over a year. I put an ice cube in the bourbon that I was drinking.
Oh,
I know.
What prompted that, and how was it?
Because it was hot, and I'm like, I was smoking cigars, and I wanted bourbon, and I'm like, I haven't done this since I graduated from On the Rocks to Neat, and it wasn't bad. We were drinking 1920. We were drinking Cardinal Spirits, that barrel proof that I have, and maybe Jack barrel proof, maybe. It was good. It was kind of refreshing.
The bigger the ice
and
cube you get,
I don't know. I don't have any
it
molds
is.
or anything. It was just fridge ice, which was fine because I was drinking them with Glens. But
yeah, that works. Yeah, I mean, I don't poo-poo on drinking it on the rocks. For me, if I'm drinking on the rocks, it needs to be a big ice cube so it doesn't dilute it. But there's been plenty of bourbons, and even with Scotch, the old Scotch belief of adding a few drops to open it up. I mean, there's definitely merit to that, and I think there's merit within it as bourbon as well. What?
Your microphone just screamed in my ear.
Oh shit! Sorry, bro.
Wow.
Mute me.
No, we're good.
Is it good
yeah,
now?
we're good. I don't know what happened.
No. Goodness gracious. Ramsey's in the back just trying to blow your ears out like that one time.
Pop my eardrum.
But going on to the last one, and this is really good.
Number 10.
Price versus quality. They go on to say price isn't always an indicator of quality. A cigar that costs $30 won't always be more enjoyable than a cigar that costs $10. Inexpensive cigars sometimes score better than the pricey ones in our blind tasting. At the same time, it's important to understand that the best materials, finest construction, and most acute quality control will cost money. I think it's a good one. I think it kind of goes along with the Cuban, so I like that it follows that one up. And you say this all the time. Just because it's $30 Davidoff doesn't mean it's going to be worth a damn.
I mean, you and I really spoke about this, not knowing this at all, yesterday when we were talking about Principal Cigars. Phenomenal cigars. Yeah. Darren's MSRP does not make sense.
No.
$6-8,
no.
Like.
And they're coming out of KBF, which is where a lot of Davidoffs are made.
Yeah.
It's
makes no sense.
And Sereno. We talked about that with Carson as well. They could charge $15 to $16 MSRP for their cigars, and I wouldn't bat an eye at all in buying those. And I think they smoke like that. And I've had plenty of Davidoffs that were $30, and they weren't worth $12.
I think the for me, although every time I go to a lounge, it seems to be more expensive because I get into like smaller batch stuff or stuff I have not smoked or that we don't carry. Like $8 to $13 is like. You can find really, really solid cigars in that range.
Yeah. It's really funny how parallel bourbon and cigars are on that topic of price range. To me, bourbon's sweet spot is 30 to 50.
Well,
Scotch is 75 to 100, and cigars are 8 to 15.
Yeah, I mean, on the bourbon side, it's a whole nother topic, just given allocation and secondary, right?
Well, yeah,
but
sorry.
Yes,
this
all
would be
MSRP.
MSRP normal releases.
Yeah. That I would agree. Yeah, there are definite times, like if I go to the lounge today, which I don't know, maybe not.
Come pick me up.
I would probably. I don't know. I've got like Sin Compromiso in my head right now. I really want that. I would probably spend mid-teens, higher teens on a cigar. And that kind of led into the podcast we did on cigar lounges and stocked humidors, stuff like that. But I will not poo-poo at all a sub $10 cigar.
No, I mean there's cigars. $5 is probably the least I would go.
I don't know if I've
unknowingly
into
a cigar. Depends on the manufacturer for me. Like, I'm not going to go buy a manufacturer that I've never had before. But, I mean, there's nothing... I'll smoke a $5 cigar in the lake all day long. Like, I think people call them, like, yard gars, where they'll, like, smoke that cigar while cutting the grass.
Exactly.
You know, there's a time and place. Daily sippers would be, I think, a bourbon example. Even beer with all the craft beer explosions. There's nothing wrong with having a daily smoke that you can drop $100 on a box and not bat an eye smoking a cigar a day on it. You know?
Yep.
Budget cigars exist for a reason, but just because it's a $5 cigar or an $8 cigar doesn't mean it's going to be half as enjoyable as a $10 or $16 cigar.
So I think I might have a little bit of sap, actually. It's on my fingers now.
If you touch it, you'll be able to. Yep,
but
exactly.
It's not, right now, it's not.
So what
I
I would do is just give it a. Well, you should get ahead of it if you want to polish this bad boy off. Give it a cut.
Okay, I'll cut it now.
Ouch. And then what you can do also is I'll do like a reverse puff, and so I'll blow it out. And then if you need to relight it, you can relight it. And that just helps. I think the technical name is purging. So I'll purge it every once in a while. I need to get the habit of more. Omar from Fratello, I think it was him, who is a big proponent of purging a cigar. I don't know his particular method or ideology behind it, but like every third or every halfway through a cigar, just give it a quick purge.
Holy shit.
You'll even see some people do it over the lighter as well. Better? Worse? Cleaner?
Night and day difference.
He's nodding his head, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
The draw was great.
Anytime.
Now it's even better. And
that's exactly what happened with mine. I cut just barely that cap off.
No black spot.
Yep.
Okay.
It'll
You've
completely
converted me.
refreshen up a cigar for you. Yes. Well, that was out of that top 10, and I don't know if I have an answer. Would there be anything that you would include that they did not?
Oh gosh. No, I mean I really do think they covered it from literally the start of it's a natural, handmade for the most part, product to I'm glad they touched on the 200 hands aspect of seed to growing to watering to cutting to fermentation to aging to rolling to back to the aging room to banding, cellophane, the box makers, placing in the box, cellophaning the box maybe. I think they really covered everything.
Yeah, I think the only things that maybe I would have included maybe something about like humidors and how to handle or maybe season a humidor. And then probably maybe something of like, cigars are meant to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like sit back, enjoy them, take the time to enjoy the cigar and appreciate it. Some like a wrap up like that I think would have been appropriate. But I expected to come in laughing.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect.
Kudos to them. This was one of their better articles that they put together.
This was a great article. Great article. I think they covered everything.
Well, wouldn't be a Cigar Club podcast without a giveaway. I've got a question if you want to think of something to actually give away.
Okay.
So in the comments below, first off, you got to subscribe. You got to ring the bell to get our notifications of when we post new videos because we've been dropping some fire content over the last several weeks and months. Let us know what is your favorite thing that you learned when you first started smoking cigars. So similar to these top 10 here, what was like one of those eye-opening things that you learned about cigars? It could be anything. Let us know in the comments below, and we will send you, drum roll.
I was just also thinking, thank you, Sam, for the cigar. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you for the bourbon. We're going to drink that on the afternoon podcast.
Afternoon podcast, I'll buy you a little bit more time. In conclusion, this was definitely my most enjoyable, my favorite of the 4 kicks that I've actually smoked, whether from regular release up into the limited edition versions.
I've never done this before.
Ooh.
You get to pick what you win, within reason. You guys know what we send. It's always a sampler 5-pack. Name something that you would love to smoke again, or you smoked it and it didn't hit you. It didn't hit correctly and you want to try it again. Obviously, if you say you want 100 cigars, it's not going to happen. But name a cigar, and we'll see if we have it in inventory, obviously. And if we do, we'll send it to you. But name a couple of handful of cigars. Build a little 3 to 5-pack sampler, if you will. And we'll try to get as close as we can to it. If we don't have them, we'll send something close. If we have them, we'll send what we have. But pick what you want. How about that?
I like that. So what we'll do, so it doesn't get crazy in the comment section below, for the giveaway, just tell us your favorite cigar piece of knowledge that you learned, and then the winner, I'll work with you.
Yeah,
and
better idea.
We'll figure out what we have and get you out that way. It doesn't get crazy in the comment section below.
Thank you for reeling that in.
You can get crazy. Yeah. Just don't list it. I'll work with you to get out, almost a custom 5-pack sampler for you. I like that. That's
something
really fun.
You want to smoke, something you want more of, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. We'll throw something, a little grab bag, fun bag away for you. But anything coming up, Griff, over the weekend that you're excited for?
No, I keep thinking today's Friday.
Tell me about it. I expect normally we roll these at like 3, and then it's just the day's over. I'm like, damn, I got to put a day in front of me.
Family pictures Saturday afternoon and probably 90-degree heat, so that's going to be just beyond exciting for me.
That'll be great.
No, nothing. Yard work,
Should be a good weekend. Oh, yeah, it's going to rain here Saturday and Sunday, which may put a poo-poo on the lake plans that we have, but a little lightning never hurt anyone in the water before. But, well, that was it. And no comment on the flag behind me, Griff?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I've looked at it this whole, because I haven't been looking at you. I've been looking at the flag. It looks great.
Thank you.
I see it blowing in the wind.
Yeah,
and
it does. Oh, yeah. She's
I changed
a flying,
up the scenery as well, so I didn't get baked in the sun on the front porch. So,
yeah. Great call. Well, thank you again to everyone listening for joining us for another Cigar Club podcast. As always, happy smoking.
And smoke something good, damn it.